Hello and welcome. I am your host of What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? Author Karen E. Osborne. I have five novels out. The latest is Justice for Emerson. I am so glad that you're here. This is a space for readers and writers to come together and talk about books. Today, we have two guests, and I love that. I love interviewing writing partners. Graham Elder, hey Graham,
Hello.
and Laura Cody. Hello, Laura.
Hi.
See her pretty tree behind her, even though it's January when we're going to see this. But, she probably keeps her tree up all year round. That's what I'm thinking. So, before we get into talking about your thriller, Call Game, tell us how you guys met and how you ended up writing together. What happened there?
Wow, how did Laura and I meet? Well, that was a long time ago, like 1992 in at medical school at McGill. We literally met over cadaver just to make it appropriate for the type of book we're writing. And we've been lifelong friends, and probably 10 years ago we started floating the idea of writing something together and I remember we were at a wine tasting in Quebec at a medical school reunion, and Laura had just published. Dare I mention where you published that, Laura?
Sure.
She I think it was is it second place in Cosmo, a little spicy piece.
A little
Yeah,
writing
a
contest,
little,
yes.
little writing contest, and we started chatting then about doing something together, and so we've been writing together for probably 10 years. Call Game is kind of the first one that we've officially published, but we have a number, thousands of other pages of book material that hasn't seen the light of day and may one day still, but for now it's in a drawer.
Probably they will. Now that you've got Call Game out,
Yeah,
probably they will.
it's
So,
possible.
so Laura, it's the most. Do you guys live near each other?
No, I'm in
No,
New
Yeah,
York,
yeah, I'm in.
and Graham is in Ontario, Canada.
right. So we're in New York.
Long Island.
Long Island. Okay, I'm a New Yorker. That's why I asked.
Oh, good.
So tell me, Laura, what was the most challenging and what was the most fun part of writing together?
I think the answer to those questions is probably the same answer. What's challenging is also kind of fun. And I think it's challenging to write with somebody because you're two people with two different ideas about where should this story be going? Where should this character be going? What happens in this chapter? But we're two people, so we have sounding boards built into our work, and so we bounce things off of each
Mm,
other. And I think that in the end, I think two heads are sometimes better than one. We butt heads sometimes, but for the most part, we're able to work it out. And I think we've managed to come up with something pretty good. I think one thing I can also say for the benefit of having a writing partner, at least for me, is for a long time, I've always liked writing, short fiction writing, but to write a novel, I think having Graham as a partner holds me accountable. Like I owe him a
mm,
chapter, so I'm going to do
mm.
it instead of, throwing my computer against the wall and going off to watch Netflix or something when I'm blocked. I know I have to get this chapter to Graham. And I think it's the same. He knows like we're kind of committed to each other in terms of, we've made this commitment to write a book together, so it holds us both accountable. And I think that that's a valuable part of the team writing.
It sounds cool. Yeah. Earlier we were talking about, before we started recording, we were talking about Cam Torrance, and he and another Black Rose writing author, Gail Olmsted, are for the first time writing a novel together. And that's really interesting because they met, as part of the community and
Right.
decided that it would be really cool if their character met his character.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is cool.
Is that
Yeah.
really cool?
Yeah.
So Graham, give us the premise, the setting, the time of Colgate.
I'll give you the brief thing. So when a Thanksgiving Day blizzard traps the staff and patients of a Northern Michigan General Hospital inside with a crazed serial killer, a young female orthopedic surgeon in training, Dr. Rylan Fraser, and a handsome but traumatized psychiatrist, Dr. Paul Bennett, must join forces to survive the night and protect the lives of their patients. That's the one sentence, brief, brief.
That's very
Sorry.
cool. And what
Less,
is it present day? Is it today?
um, it's kind of no, I guess we wrote it in the past tense. It doesn't really have a timeline really or a moment in time where like we did mess around with that idea because of the COVID thing, right? Like, do you include
Mm.
aspects of COVID in the story? And in the end, we said, well, let's make it timeless in the sense of not including anything particular to do with COVID. So, yeah.
Oh, all right. And so from reading your bios, it looks like both of you drew on your own experiences to add authenticity to the book. Is that true? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Let's go to Laura first and then Graham.
Hmm.
Sure. I would say that's definitely true. It was one of those, that age-old advice, write what you know. And we said, let's write what we know. So we took our book and set it in a hospital where we both have a lot of experience. We made the characters. One is a psychiatrist and one is an orthopedic surgeon. I'm the psychiatrist. I am a psychiatrist in practice, and Graham is an orthopedic surgeon in real life. Um, and we said we believed we could lend authenticity to the characters because of our experience. Like I said, we've both treated many patients through our careers. I think one thing that we did, um, I wrote the male character, who's the
Mm.
psychiatrist, and Graham wrote the female character, who's the surgeon. And I think that there are a couple of reasons we did that, but I think one was if I wrote a female psychiatrist in the hospital, I think it would be easy to get lost in her and become her. And I didn't want
Mm.
her to be me. So we kind of broke that up a little bit. Yeah, turned that a little bit on its head
Yeah.
so that, yeah, I wrote a character who's definitely not me. Like, yeah.
Well, maybe a
And
little
the
bit, right? No,
No, no, no.
no, not at all. Not at all. Okay.
No.
and the handsome surgeon.
The handsome,
No,
Who were
the
you thinking
psychiatrist
of,
is handsome.
Graham, when you were
what's that?
writing the handsome surgeon?
Well, no, actually, the surgeon's the female here, right? Rylan
Oh,
Fraser.
that's right. A
Yeah,
handsome
the
psychiatrist.
Yeah.
handsome psychiatrist. That was Laura writing that, so she made him as handsome as she needed him to be pleasant to write about. Um, Yeah, the one thing I was thinking of, you bring your professional aspect into it. It's also challenging because the language we use, well, it's its own language, right? And part of it is making it authentic and real, but making it understandable to the average reader. And so that was maybe one of the challenges we've been not dealing with, but it's part of the challenge
Yeah.
of writing in this way. But yeah, definitely it comes from our day-to-day lives. And it's easy to write that way because you don't have to do any research. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes. Although I think I love that you challenged yourselves to write the opposite sex. So, I mean, most
yeah,
of us have to do that. We have to write characters that are both sexes, but that was kind of cool. Yeah.
yeah.
So tell us about these wonderful main characters. What did you really, because we know they're real, right? In our
Mm.
heads, there's real, they're whole and real people that talk to us all the time. So what did you really like about either one? Either one you could take the psychiatrist or you could take the,
Yeah, I'll start with Rylan if it's okay. Yeah. Um,
yes.
so so I've worked so women in orthopedics are very rare. It's a very small
Oh,
percentage of the profession, unlike almost every other profession in medicine. And over the years in my training, there was maybe out of every five or six residents, for example, there'd be one woman. And similarly in practice, there's usually one colleague and maybe four or five men. So it's a very dominated world. And for me, it was fun to make a character or to write a character who is struggling against that and even overcoming it. And
Mm.
it's that glass ceiling aspect and in writing a strong female protagonist. So that was one thing I enjoyed and I thought was thought would be fun to read. And also my daughter's an orthopedic resident right
Ah,
now, third year. So I thought it would be fun for her to read something like that. Not quite a mentor, but maybe a little bit of a hero kind of character that she could potentially look up to. So that was my
I
take on it.
like that. That's
Yeah.
very sweet. I like
Yeah.
that. So tell us about your other hero, the psychiatrist. Did
That's
I get that
Paul.
wrong?
Yeah, that's Paul. No, you got it. That's
Okay.
Paul.
Cool.
Um, Paul Bennett is a new psychiatrist. He's coming on duty that weekend. And so he picks a really bad night to start at the hospital because it's holiday weekend. There are no other psychiatrists working with him, and they're snowed in. And of course, there's this killer thing going on in the hospital, which makes for a bad night. And I liked Paul because I think he comes in, he's burdened with a pager. He doesn't have any residents working with him. Usually in a hospital setting, if you're an attending, as he is, the residents do a lot of the legwork, and the attending just kind of takes calls from home. But he's stuck, and he's kind of good natured about it, and he goes about. He's the new guy, um, but I think he does the best he can under the circumstances. Kind of stands by, observes what's going on. Uh, Gotta wonder a little what's going through his head as the night unfolds because he's walked into a pretty volatile situation.
Situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I guess
yeah,
that's all
yeah.
I'm going to say about Paul.
Does the story take place over one night or one day?
It's a one night kind of deal. Yeah.
Yeah, like
The characters
24.
start coming in for evening call and the story resolves by the next day. Yeah.
Wow. So really fast paced, a lot going on in a short period of time. Very, very cool.
So,
So what's next for you guys?
Well, we're just finishing up the sequel.
yes.
Um, Title
Um,
still not ready to reveal the title yet, but we're just literally working on the last couple of chapters. We've signed a contract with Black Rose Writing for that book, which is awesome because we're only 6 weeks or so into the launch of the first book. So obviously they're happy with it and how it's doing.
mhm.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing next.
That sounds wonderful. Excellent. Well, show us the cover
Hmm.
of Call Game. Let's see. You could both show it.
Get the
Very
reflection off it.
nice.
There we go.
Yeah,
Nice. Thank
very, very nice. All right. All
you.
right. So this is What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? Was there a book, an author that had a really big impact on how you write, why you write?
Hmm.
I know I personally I'm a book lover my whole life. I'm a big reader. And there are a lot of authors that I really love and who I feel like, I wish I could emulate in my writing. But I'll go with a name that we all know really well. Stephen King is one of my faves. And I definitely think that doing the kind of writing that Graham and I do, where we alternate POVs because we have to basically for
Mhm.
our kind of, and that's what's worked for us. I mean, he's a master. I always think of something like The Stand, which is, this
Yes.
epic, huge, back-breaking book if you lift it up with so many pages, but he does it so masterfully. Like he changes POVs with every chapter in that book, and he creates such memorable to me characters with great arcs. And I think like that to me is a great model, especially when I'm writing with Graham and we're doing different POVs. How you can give integrity to one character, then flip to another character with that same integrity and make them, hopefully, make them full and interesting. Um, I'd say that that's like a real aspiration for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Graham?
Uh, if I go back in time, to me the impact started earlier, like in my teenage years, and it's not so much authors as style of books like Hardy Boys and the Alfred Hitchcock and the Three
Mhm.
Investigators. I think that got me into it, and that evolved into hardcore sci-fi at the time, which was Isaac Asimov, along with some fantasy,
Mm.
Piers Anthony. Really nothing to do with what what we're working on now, but if in terms of having impact going forward, those are probably the bigger ones for me. And I went to French school all my life, so I didn't hit the classics until I was in my 40s. Like in French, we have very different sort of classics. And so I started reading all the ones that everybody else reads in high school. And things like Hemingway obviously stand out and are very enjoyable for me and had a big impact as well. So yeah, so a whole variety of
Yeah.
things for me. Yeah.
Yeah, we learn as writers, we're all readers and we learn so much from the other writers that we read. It's a wonderful thing. Um, so do you have any books that you've read recently, starting with Laura, that you could recommend to our audience?
Sure. At any given time, I'm reading a couple of books. Right now, I'm working my way through one Stephen King that I hadn't read before, which is 11/22/63, which is
That's
something
a
like 50,000
really,
pages.
yes, it's very
It's a
good.
big one.
Yes.
I like it. I'm also reading The Warm Hands of Ghosts, and that's a book by Catherine Arden. I like that a lot. I'm not through it yet, but so far I would recommend it. World War One period piece with some interesting supernatural element thrown in, and I'm enjoying that very much. And then I'm also
Okay.
reading one more, and I'll always love all of her books, is Kristen Hanna. I'm reading Firefly Lane. Yeah, I love Kristen Hanna. I
I
see you.
love her.
Me too. Beautiful writer, like just such a great, yeah. And this is one I haven't read yet, so I'm on Firefly Lane. So
I learned so much from her all
yeah,
the time. And when I was struggling with True Grace, my book right before Justice for Emerson, and then I read The Four Winds, and it just answered all my questions.
yeah, yeah. She's a
It
master.
just
She's
it
great.
it was like, oh my goodness, there's my roadmap. Yes, thank you, Kristen. Graham, do you have some books you could recommend?
Well, you mean besides Justice for Emerson, which I'm
Yeah,
reading right now
that's
and
a good
enjoying
one.
very much. That's a good one. Yeah, I'm actually doing the audiobook on Gone Before Goodbye. And when Call Game came out, this is the book that was always in number one for the hot new releases in Canada. And with Call Game sitting behind it in number two. So I was wondering, what's this book got besides Reese Witherspoon and Harlan Coben as writers? What else does it have? And it's really good. It has great descriptions of this of surgeries and the whole doctor-patient relationship, and it's also dramatized. So it's you got Reese Witherspoon reading it, and you've got Chris Pine reading other parts. So you got a pretty strong dramatized cast, which is very very fun to listen to, and it's a good book. I get why it's number one. It was really good. The other one though, I really liked. I'll just show you. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Matt Haig. He wrote the library one. What was the
Yeah, the
original one?
Midnight
The
Library.
Midnight Library.
Yeah.
And this is one of his follow-ups, The Life Impossible. This is a great beach read. I read it over the holidays, and it's one of those books that has these little quirks about life, and he's just a beautiful writer for that kind of thing. So if you're looking for a good beach book or holiday book, Matt Haig, Life Impossible.
Sounds good.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. So these are wonderful. Thank you for great book recommendations. So, people all of you are watching, that you can buy their book wherever you buy your books. You can go to Amazon, you can go to Barnes and Noble, you can go to your local independent store, which would be a beautiful thing. You can go to the library, and if you don't see it, ask for it. But how can they be? Oh, and of course, when you read it, you will write a review. They so appreciate that. Reviews are gold. But in addition to that, how can they stay in touch with both of you? Where can they find you on social media, website?
Well, we can start with our website. Graham and I share a website. It's called Two, spelled out, TWO, twodocswriting.com. And and we're both on social media. I'm not a huge social media person, but I'm trying. And I have an Instagram and Facebook. Laura Cody on both. Would be
All
found.
right. And Graham?
Yeah, I've got another website for other series that I've published in a solo project. But so that's grahamelder.com, a separate website. And then the handle on the Instagram is actually Two Docs Writing, because when we first started, both Laura and I were going to play around with it, but Laura wasn't quite ready yet. So it became my personal handle. So yeah, Two Docs Writing is on Instagram and Facebook.
Excellent, excellent. So thank you both for coming. So appreciate you being here. Thank all of you for watching, or if you're listening on Spotify or you're listening on Apple, we so appreciate that. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know, let Laura know, let Graham know that you met them on What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Karen.
Bye bye. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Karen. This was great.
Awesome.